Ghislaine Maxwell is now doing exactly what I anticipated. She preparing to request either a retrial or a pardon. This move follows a social media post by Donald Trump over the weekend in which he claimed that the absent files and client list were nothing more than an elaborate hoax orchestrated by Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and James Comey. Ghislaine Maxwell has effectively been handed a golden ticket for a retrial by Donald Trump. Her argument is likely to be if the President of United States, who oversees both the FBI and Department of Justice, publicly claimed that everything surrounding Jeffrey Epstein was massive hoax, then why was she changed, convicted, and sentenced as Epstein co-conspirator? Over the weekend, Trump posted that the Epstein case was fabricated by Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and James Comey. Just days after his own DOJ stated there was no Epstein list and file to be released, and that the case was officially closed. I previously said that the Trump made that post to give Maxwell the legal leverage for a retrial in an effort to surpass their release of the Epstein list files and client names. Information Maxwell lightly pauses. Everything she's done since then, he followed exactly the steps I predicted. First, I predicted that Ghislaine Maxwell would come forward and say, I want to testify before Congress. Let me reveal everything I know. And that's exactly what she did. But immediately after, mega Republicans in the House of Representatives voted to block her testimony. Not only did they vote against releasing the absent files, they even blocked a vote from taking place before full house on whether to release them. Then, just anticipated, Maxwell began mounting a public campaign seeking either pardon or retrial. Now we are seeing people in her orbit. Mega influencer closely tied to Donald Trump and Cash Patel, amplifying that effort, publicly calling for her to be granted a retrial or even a full pardon. I predicted this would happen. You might remember my video from yesterday. Let me walk you through what unfolded. Jessica Reed, a pro-Trump new media figure who served as White House reporter, played a key role in this next development. Jessica Reed is now actively advocating for a retrial or pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell. She is now for wearing the Free Ghislaine Maxwell shirts and was one of the select individuals invited to the White House in February when Donald Trump and Pam Bondi unveiled the so-called Phase 1 absentee banner. At that time, they promised additional phases, phase 2 and 3, to follow. Later, Bondi publicly claimed she had the list on her desk and planned to release it. Jessica, who has VIP access to the White House and is closely connected to its inner circle, posted a message of support for Ghislaine. It's worth nothing. She has a personal relationship with Maxwell. Here's what she wrote. I will be pushing for retrial or pardon until it's happened, especially after the latest developments. Everyone should be asking why one woman is serving 20 years for trafficking minors to no one. That's what Jessica Reid posted, and it's no coincidence. In many views, she echoing the narrative laid out by Donald Trump in his recent social media post claiming the entire absence scandal was a hoax. If it is a hoax, the argument followed that there was no victim, and that's precisely the legal angle I predicted Ghislaine Maxwell would try to use to seek a retrial. Trump, in effect, handed her a golden ticket to challenge her sex trafficking conviction. Why? Likely to prevent her from revealing names, files, and deeper connection tied to Epstein, especially any that might implicate Trump on or his allies. Meanwhile, another key player entered the picture yesterday, Lady Victoria Harvey, a frequent guest at Mar-a-Lago and Bedminster, Bedminster after photographed with Trump and Cash Patel. She reshured posts claiming Epstein had no client and that there was no trafficking. Oh, directly amplifying the disinformation campaign that aims to erase the reality of Epstein crimes. Here are the photo of Lady Victoria Harvey alongside Donald Trump and Cash Patel, clearly signaling her close VIP level ties with Mega Circle. And here's what she now reposting. Keep in mind, she is now pushing the claims that there was no trafficking, no clients, only so-called innocent victim like Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, who she says were extorted for money by two allegedly concept attorney in a calculated blackmail scheme. She claims everyone seems to agree that Pam Bondi and Cash Patel come to realize after being briefed that the entire Epstein case was a massive fraud orchestrated by two corrupt attorneys, naming David and Sigrid as the culprits. According to her, these liars exploited the legal system to extort millionaires from the wealthy individual. In this telling, it's not Epson or Maxwell's who are the villains, it's the victim legal team, and she is using Donald Trump's recent claim that the entire Epstein case was a hoax as a validation for flipping the narrative and painting Epstein and Maxwell as the real victims. Do you see how Donald Trump handed them the golden ticket? Now they are trying to argue based on his post that the entire Epstein case was a hoax. And according to some of these voices, every alleged extortion related to the case is now going to be thoroughly investigated. In fact, one of Maxwell's defenders is claiming that the FBI and DOJ will begin probing why the so-called real victims like Ghislaine Maxwell were ever targeted in the first place. That's the narrative they are pushing. Now, let me show you exactly what happened on the House floor so you can see it for yourself. I will be doing a separate video breaking down how Republicans actively block the release of the absent files. So stay tuned for that on the YouTube channel. But for now, here's the moment. Democratic Congressman Jim McGovern, during a Rules Committee session, introduced an amendment that would have simply allowed a vote in the full House of Representatives on whether to release the absent documents. Just vote to allow vote, and that's it. If the full house go to vote, we had at least able to see which members supported transparency and which did not. But nearly every mega aligned Republican on that committee except for one voted to block even that procedural step. They killed the amendment, shutting down any chance for the absent files to be brought to light in public vote. Watch this moment. Let's roll the clip.
So I urge a yes vote on my amendment, and I yield
The
back.
questions on the amendment. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I have previously pointed out how close Donald Trump and Ghislaine Maxwell were. These were not distant acquaintances, they were close friends frequently seen together. In fact, ahead of her sex trafficking trail, Trump publicly said he wished her well and acknowledged we know each other, we saw each other a lot. Let me share a few additional data points that are worth Revisiting first from British tabloid article published around 1997, here's what was reported at that time. According to the British tabloid article from the late 90s, just weeks after ending his marriage to second wife Donald Trump, the America's most well-known billionaire became captivated by 20-year-old English model. The article notes that several wealthy American men were vying for her attention, but she arrived accompanied by none other than Ghislaine Maxwell, described as Maxwell, who had reputation for introducing her attractive friendship to Trump. The piece highlights that none of Trump's rivals could compete with his Grand Florida estate, Mar-a-Lago, where the writer noticed dining with Trump and his outgoing wife, describing it as enough to make any young girls go weak at knees. After their meeting, Trump reportedly flew both Maxwell and the model down to Florida. This incident served as further evidence of Trump and Ghislaine Maxwell's long-standing relationship dating back to at least 1996 or 1997, year before her sex trafficking trial, at which point Trump publicly stated, "I wish her well." Play this clip.
Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison, and a lot of people want to know if she's going to turn in powerful people. And I know you've
The speaker is asked about Ghislaine Maxwell, who is currently impeached, and whether she was implicated powerful individual. The question especially mentioned Prince Andrew and Bill Clinton, whose behavior speaker has previously criticized. The speaker responded that they have not been closely following Maxwell's case and simply wishes her well. Nothing. They have met her multiple times. They also state they are unaware of the situation with Prince Andrew. The speaker then shifted to discussing events at Mar-a-Lago, reiterating previously mentioned undisputed fact. Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell would recruit financially vulnerable underage girls for sex trafficking from the location. These girls, often homeless, would be lured into Epstein's circle with the premises before being trafficked. An example given is Virginia Gaffrey, who recently died by suicide in Australia. Gaffrey, while 17 and homeless, working as a toil guard at the Mar-a-Lago spa. Maxwell and Epstein, who lived nearby, approached her and introduced her to Epstein, who then sex trafficked her. The speaker then suggests playing a clip of Gaffrey discussing Maxwell.
Virginia Roberts was working in the spa at Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago club in Palm Beach when British socialite Ghislaine Maxwell
Virginia Roberts was working at the spa inside Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago club in Palm Beach when British society Ghislaine Maxwell introduced her to billionaire Jeffrey Epstein. According to Roberts, the grooming began immediately. It was everything from how to stay quiet and submissive to how to please Jeffrey. She recalled much of the training she said came directly from Ghislaine. It was shocking. You do not accept women to not only allow something like that to happen but to actively groom you for it. Absent, she added, would direct specific behavior. Do it like this, slower, not like that. Drum. During Trump's first term, reports circulated that he had considered pardon Ghislaine Maxwell. He was also questioned during an interview on Access by journalist Jonathan Swan, who asked why he publicly wished Maxwell well despite her being charged with sex trafficking. Trump's response to the question was telling. Here's what he said.
Mr. President, the other day a reporter asked you about Ghislaine Maxwell. You said, quote, "I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous
Mr. President, the other day reporter asked you about Ghislaine Maxwell. You responded, I just wish her well. Frankly, I have met her numerous times over the year, especially since I lived in Palm Beach. But I wish her well, whatever it is. Mr. Trump, Maxwell has been arrested on serious charges related to child sex trafficking. Why would you wish someone like that well? Trump replied, I do not know much about that, but yes, I know she's been arrested. Her friend, boyfriend, Epstein, either died by suicide or was killed in a jail. She is now in jail. Yes, I wish her well. I had wished a lot of people well. Good luck to her. Let them prove someone guilty, you know. Pressed further, Trump added, so you are saying you hope she does not die in jail? Is that what you mean by wishing her well? Her boyfriend died in jail. The people are still trying to figure out how that happened. Was it suicide? Was he killed? I do wish her well. I am not looking for anything bad to happen to anyone. That's all. While Trump tried to frame his comments as neutral and human, in effect, his remarks and his broader efforts to dismiss the Epstein scandal as hoax have provided cover for Ghislaine Maxwell and other powerful individuals connected to the case by publicly demanding the legitimacy of the Epstein investigation and curbing the DOJ and FBI efforts. Trump effectively handed a golden ticket not just to a Maxwell but to others like Prince Andrew, who have also been linked to Epstein trafficking network. He is now free to travel to the country, clearly relieved, and so are the other wealthy, powerful men connected to the case. They are all celebrating because, thanks to recent developments, they have effectively been let off the hook. It's also important to the point out the timing. All of his considers with the Department of Justice preparing to submit its brief to the United States Supreme Court in response to Ghislaine Maxwell appeal. So remember the piece I covered yesterday about Ghislaine Maxwell. In fact, I did two separate segments on it just to highlight how significant this situation has become. Ghislaine Maxwell is now challenging her conviction by invoking in 2007 non-prosecution agreement (NPA) that Jeffrey Epstein struck with the U.S. Attorney Office for Southern District of Florida, led at the time by Alex Acosta. Acosta, who later served as Donald Trump Labor Secretary during his first term, negotiated a deal with Epstein legal team that did not just shield Epstein from federal prosecution, it also extended prosecution to his unnamed co-conspirators. Maxwell is now urging that as one of those co-conspirators, she should have been covered under some NPA. She claimed that the agreement promised to federal charges against her and that it applied nationwide, now just to Florida. However, during the criminal proceeding against both Epstein and Maxwell, the Department of Justice urged that the NPA only applied to the Southern District of Florida and therefore had no bearing on prosecution brought by the Southern District of New York, where she was ultimately convicted. Trump's DOJ recently filed a brief opposing Maxwell appeal to the Supreme Court, standing by the position that the NPA does not protect her from prosecution in other jurisdictions. But this timing is notable. Right before the filing, Trump posted online calling the entire Epstein case is a hoax, allegedly, allegedly created by Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama and James Comey. Many believes this was a strategic move, a way to give Maxwell a rhetorical golden ticket she could use to urge for a retrial, perhaps in exchange for his silence on what or who she knows. To add more context, during Trump's first term, Alex Acosta eventually resigned under pressure due to his role in the Epstein plea deal. At the time, Trump defended him publicly, stating that many people thought Acosta deal was a good deal. Meanwhile, Pam Bandy, who was Florida Attorney General during key moments in the Epstein investigation and now serves as U.S. Attorney General under Trump, has repeatedly claimed there are no Epstein files, despite one saying the client list was on her desk. All of his Trump post DOJ's legal position bodies denied appeared to be part of coordinated effort to close the door on the Epstein case publicly, even as Maxwell positioned herself to potentially blow it wide open again by demanding a retrial of Paradon. Here's a clip from when Acosta resigned, standing beside Trump, who defended the Epstein deal in his own words.
A great labor secretary, not a good labor secretary. He's done a fantastic job. He's a friend.
Alex Acosta was not just a good labor secretary, he was a great one. He did fantastic job and was well linked by everyone in the administration. This morning I got call from Alex and I think he handled everything very well yesterday under immense pressure. He explained the situation clearly and reminded everyone of the deal he made, one that people supported at that time. Now, 12 years later, opinions have changed and people are unhappy with it. That's something you will have to make sense of. But as far as I am concerned, Alex has been an outstanding Secretary of Labor. He asked to see me this morning, and I thought since the press was already here, maybe he had want to speak to you directly. I want to be clear. The decision was his, not mine, because I support him. He is a tremendous talent, a Harvard education Hispanic man, and someone we will truly miss. Now I am laying all of out for you to contact the dots. This is just my perspective. You may disagree, but I am sharing the fact as I see them. So let me know what you think.